Hello YouTube! Balthier is the next global first LD. My guesses were completely wrong. Check out the video on the card and go laugh at me getting it all wrong. Also thumbs up the comments that guessed and or wanted Balthier. I'm cool with him, great character, the leading man I'm certainly pulling. In this video I'm going to be doing an analysis of the character, giving my perspective, having played and completed all JP content from this point forward, and you can check my channel just to show it's the case. I'm going to be highlighting his strengths, weaknesses, potential team comps, and most importantly, what lufenias he's going to be great in. Before I continue, make sure to like this video, subscribe to my channel if you haven't already, share this video around because it'll be a good one, and drop a comment about your opinion on Balthier. Only 30% of my viewers on average are subscribed. I play both JP and global and upload daily content. Hit the bell as well so you don't miss a single upload. I'll be reading all the comments, so comment as you please. If you have a hot take, I'll be responding with the pepper emoji. Don't embarrass yourself. Everything here is my opinion and my impression. Don't take it as fact. I screw up information all the time. I'm human. Always double check your sources. Feel free to correct me and I'll acknowledge it in the comments immediately. All right, now Balthier. Oh boy. First off, this costume is clean. I'm gonna walk through my global first criteria from the jump though, because I clearly messed this up. Costume, I didn't play War of the Lion, so I didn't guess the costume. Popularity, he's the best character in Final Fantasy XII, fight me. Everyone loves the leading man. Well, I think that everyone played 12s like Balthier. It was a different game, so not everyone played it, and if you haven't played it, I recommend doing so. The Zodiac Age on PS4 or PC is a fantastic experience. I played it a couple years ago, and I was hooked immediately. I had no interest in the game, but actually the city got me on to Final Fantasy XII. Definitely give it a shot if you haven't. The theme release, in retrospect, this was a weak criteria, and it never really vibed with anything in the past. Nothing's happening with Final Fantasy XII. It was just Balthier. Lack of spotlight, so I'm biased. I thought Balthier was very good with the ZX Plus, but looking back on it, he has had an extensive down bad period in JP. He's been pretty much dead since character for a while, honestly. I only use sparingly and some dispel orbs. I used him a ton, so I downplayed how much I needed help. And he's rarely synergy. Yes, he's only showing up on Ystola's burst and LD and rework event. And he gets his 80 with Divine Brothers and Cloud of Darkness burst. So, there you go. I should have guessed better. Congrats to everyone who wanted him. Congrats to everyone who guessed him. Hope you're feeling good about it. A bit of the reception. We've been seeing the normal goofball reactions. It seems a bit louder this time because people like waifus. It's also people who aren't used to analyzing units in like big numbers. I might do a highlight reel later edited of some of the hottest takes I've seen. He's not a cute girl, and Final Fantasy XII isn't exactly as popular as, well, 15 is recent, 9 has Beatrix, Vivi is also 9, and who else? Who am I thinking of? Or no, those were 3, Vivi, Beatrix, and RNA, so yeah. I think a lot of the hate is undue. He seems largely balanced and above average and good at what he needs to do. He's not an RNA. RNA, unfortunately, rotted a lot of people's brains. The purpose of the Global First is to shake up some foresight and add another option to the mix so you can do content with a twist and not necessarily follow the JP timeline. The Geo First is not supposed to be broken. In fact, no characters are supposed to be broken. The ideal game, all characters will be balanced. So if they're not broken, this is so bad. If your favorite didn't get it, get over it. It's a game. Don't harass anybody, you crybabies, losers. And I'm going to be refuting a lot of hot takes later in the video, so stay tuned for that. I'm going to be putting that near the end. Balthier is definitely not a carry unit, but he will have a very good shelf life. I'm confident saying that. He's got a lot of unique things packed into one that a lot of global has not seen yet in the actual game in the meta. That being said, let's get into his kit details and my personal analysis. Now, first off, his overhead. His overhead is huge. But one thing I want to address, he's got 4 turns of build-up in total in the beginning of the fight, which is seriously negligible. We have so many other setup characters. Kurasame doesn't get his follow-up till his first EX cast. Sande has to build up 5 stacks. Edward has to build debuff stacks. Gladio has to build his personal stacks. There's more, but 4 turns of build-up is so small in the long scheme of things. You're gonna be at 5 stacks by the time the boss hits its first 80% buffing threshold. I've seen people mentioning spamming C65 to get the full stacks ASAP, but this is really just overkill, guys. I don't think this will be necessary. It's not as bad as remove Beatrix is 15, so she works with Kate Sith. But just ease up, guys. Again, while these character stacks that I listed before are not nearly as impactful as Balthier, it's still the beginning of the battle. You'll be fine. Relax. This is the first Brave damage up aura in Global, I believe. Paladin Cecil will be the second. Paladin Cecil has 50% Brave damage up, and Balthier has 20. But this is the first aura, and I'll get into that comparison later, which I think is silly. But he's also his brave damage up aura is unconditional. He gets the 5 stacks, and you're not losing it for the rest of the fight unless he gets swapped out. In fact, I think he's the only and this is the important part here, unconditional Brave damage aura for a long time. I can't think of any others. The only other overhead base or buff based ones come way later, and usually they have a turn limit. Balthier it is impossible to fall off. What else? Most are buff based, like I said, which can be dispelled or can fall off, or they're overhead based, which have durations. The next overhead Brave damage increase aura up. That's a mouthful. So while Paladin Cecil has a condition that he has to be at 100% max HP, Deuce is a magic Brave damage up overhead, and then Bart's is just a straight up Brave damage up for the party. So we're not getting Brave damage up in this fashion just as an aura, and the fact that it has no condition at all besides build up the stacks, which is easy to do, that is fantastic. I think the same applies to HP damage up. He just doesn't lose it. I know Paladin Cecil gets the HP damage up, but again, that's threshold based. Charlotta has an HP damage up aura, but hers is buff based, and it's pretty easy to fall off, and it's only 4 turns. And Charlotta's also not too great anymore. Her damage is not there like it used to be. What else? Also, Balthier is getting a personal 110 attack up, because each of his limit breaks have 20% attack up. And add that, so that's 60 on each limit break, and then 50 on his level 1 stack. That's 110% attack up. And he's got the Brave and HP damage up to boot, which also applies to himself, obviously. And he's probably going to be hitting HP cap on nearly all of his skills. If not, he's getting very, very close. And his recast is a skill at an HP attack, and his HP attack doesn't suck anymore. So yeah, it's all good stuff. So practical use, longevity with Balthier is not an issue. He has 3 LD uses, but he's never had longevity issues. Again, skill on an HP attack, and the HP attack is 3 Brave hits, and he's got Brave and HP damage up, so he's going to be doing good damage with that HP plus. He's got a ton of skills on top of 3 extra with LD. People also don't know that he has a debuff aura on his stacking unique buff from his skills and EX. That is 20% attack and M Brave down. All these qualities together, he just has a lot going for him. He's not a primary damage dealer. In Inkwelder terminology, he is an offensive utility support. He's got the added utility of Dispel and Esna, which are niche. Don't get it wrong. That's not a widely popular niche. But when they are good, they're really good. And I'm going to highlight that later. As long as you build around him in the Lufenia orb, he should be a great party member. And it looks like he has a attack armor. He reached the 11998. Okay, whatever. Screw the numbers. He reached the DPS armor cap, and he did a little above that because Ramza has the support armor, which raises your HP cap by 5%. So yeah, now we're gonna talk about future viability. First things first. I want to highlight, this is really important, guys. The Lufenias, he's going to be very good in about next month, which is March. He's going to be carrying at least 2 Lufenias. And what I consider March to be Hell Month version 2. So if you're wanting some more restrictive Lufenias, if you're insane like that, March is going to be a doozy. First off, we have RCL's Lost Chapter. It's Dispel Orb 2 Electric Boogaloo. Maybe there's a pattern for when they buff themselves, but I sure couldn't find it when I did it. It's a Dispel Orb, because RCL is there. Beatrix is good there, but also Balthier, since he has a lot of Dispel skills. He's going to be so good there. So good there. Honestly, RCL's Lost Chapter is like Beatrix's Lost Chapter, but I think it's worse. Because they dispel you, they dispel all your buffs, and they debuff you. So Balthier can cleanse that debuff they put on you, and he can dispel them to satisfy the orb. He's going to be a supreme MVP. Got the overhead aura, the party, and self-cleanse, and then, I'm so happy because I hated that fight. You can check on my run, and I was not pleased with that fight. I think everybody I know who played that fight hates it. Also, right after that is the Sayador. Act 3, Chapter 1, Part 2. And the orb there is Esna. There aren't many Esna characters in the game. There's Penelo, who's getting her LD. There's Balthier, who could only do it on EX, but now you can do it on LD as well. There's Yuna. and there's Sayador, who they're trying to promote. There's Yuffie, and there's Cyan. I think those are the only Esnas in the game, and the orb is plus 15 when a debuff is Esna'd off the party. And they hit you with a non-expiring stacking debuff in that fight, and they also dispel one buff from you with their recast. Balthier's cleanse with his LD and for the party, and self cleanses with the X, which is pretty much satisfying what Sayador would do. So now Sayador is looking even worse now that Balthier exists. This fight sucks. I hate it, and Balthier's gonna carry it hard, and I'm glad the devs added him for this fight because I'm gonna run him and stomp it. Balthier, also the dispel that's happening is showing that the power of Balthier having an overhead, because even if his buff gets dispelled, he can put his buffs back up very easily, and his overhead's still going to be providing those auras. So yeah, good stuff. And C65 gravity for when they do a big brave gain. It feels like they made this early LD just to fit in with this these two events, because they were toxic. They're both very limiting and both very tricky. Those are what I'd highlight for Balthier. So the fact that he can crush those two lufenias alone is making him incredible already. But now I'm going to theory craft a little for some future fights. Let's see. Eldnar's Lost Chapter. The boss gets strong buffs, and it's pretty much a damage race without Eldnar's. The fight is awful. I hate it. Balthier should be good there if you want a damage race with maybe Kurasame, Lightning, and Balthier. I could see that being a viable team for that fight. Or maybe throw a scale in there, whatever. Gonna reach a bit more now. These are possible uses for him in the future, but he's probably not amazing, but I could see him getting used and being essential here. Medusa's, aka the Onion Knight, LD Chapter 3, Act 1, Part 1. Balthier is not elemental, so he can satisfy the Ice Orb if he's enchanted by an Onion Knight. He's AoE to hit both targets. He's got an attack down aura and damage up, so you can DPS him down faster. He could potentially work nicely with Onion and Gao, because Gao has that attack down aura as well, and also the Embrave down aura. I'd be interested in seeing how he works there. He could steal Divine... Now I'm really reaching. He could steal Divine Rama's both buffs. Wow, I can't talk. Rude Lost Chapter for Esning the party and triple targets with his AoE. Yuna's Burst Loop for stealing the HP regen and cleansing the party for the orb. Transcendence 4 on the left side for the Esna, and Transcendence 4 on the right node, so he can do range damage and Esna the party as well. You see that being very useful. I don't know how long people will bring him along to content, but these are just things to consider thinking forward. He's got and the fact that he's so simple in his kit, he's not elemental, he does damage, and he's just an overhead with no party buffs, means he can pretty much fit anywhere, not tied to any elements. It's great. Now some a bit more theory crafting for teams that you could potentially use them in. This is more just me thinking out loud, but let's see. You could use them with Lightning, Kurasame, and Balthier. Lightning, Kurasame, Balthier would work probably as a damage race team, because that's a theoretical 50% HP damage up, and then you stack that on top of Lightning's, which is 70% HP damage up, which is probably overkill, but the team's doing good damage. The only thing problem there is you don't have any heals, but with the increased amount of good calls we're getting, having main heals in the party doesn't necessarily have to be an issue. Also, Balthier Kurasame together it's going to make Kurasame hit harder because the Brave damage up. Counter teams, I can see him working. Brave and HP damage up is just so good. We don't have that yet. And Paladin Cecil does have that. He's locked to Holy Orb. But let me keep going. Focus on that. Counter teams, just having Balthier sit there. The Brave damage up. Maybe like Guy Lufenia with Gladio and Gao will probably be funny because their counters will be hitting hard, and he can gravity shave the. I guess that was a potential Lufenia consideration too, but he could gravity the Brave gains off. Boss Rush, the slight buildup isn't inspiring confidence that he'll be stellar in Boss Rush, but he'll still be fine enough with the auras once he's built up, I guess. Nothing else immediately comes to mind, but I'm curious to see what the community is going to make work with him. If you can get a consistent use of him for 2+ months of content, then I personally consider that a good investment. And he's guaranteed a tuning pass in the future with probable rework. He's probably almost certainly getting reworked, and he's definitely going to get LD boards. And now, what you all probably clicked on this for, me addressing the hot takes. Let me get this out the way. You all are pulling. Shut up. I don't want to hear it. I don't want to hear about accidental Balthier LD. I slipped and pressed the multi button 5 times and then got his LD. Just all that garbage. Just you all are pulling. So shut up. Just shut up. Anyone calling him underwhelming or bad, shut up. I think a lot of people who follow JP but don't play it underestimate a lot of details and aren't used to analyzing kits and don't realize how rare Brave damage and HP damage up auras are. Usually a lot of these hot takes come from people deciding who hear opinions from other people, that get decided for them months in advance, and then they rationalize it in a hype cycle. That's why Should You Pull is so popular, because people don't know how to make their own decisions. So again, just shut up. I don't want to hear it. you're getting roasted in my comments if you pull any of that. So be careful. Now we're getting to the character comparisons, and oh boy, we're getting to that point again. We're boiling people down to one thing, so then they're basically the same character. Balthier is basically a Paladin Cecil, Penelo, Kurasame, Barrett, Yuffie. My God. Instead of listing what they have in common, list what they don't have in common. And before I get hit with the usual bad faith, but we have limited resources, what do I do if I have to pick? We have to inform people and think about this. Well, as someone trying to inform people and make a coherent argument, we properly list their pros and cons, compare them as a whole, not boil them down to one metric. Help people learn how to evaluate their roster and choose for themselves. Helping people help themselves is the highest level of assistance you can provide. And if you're intellectually lazy, that's fine. Just don't get upset when I'm mean to you. All right? Let's keep it moving. Paladin Cecil versus Balthier. Just because they have Brave and HP damage up. Balthier has less Brave damage up and no enchant, and he also doesn't have a burst. But he can dispel. He can Esna. Balthier does more Brave and HP damage himself. He's hitting harder than Paladin Cecil, of course. And he's got no conditions attached to any of his buffs. Paladin Cecil heals and batteries, and he has more Brave damage up for the parties, along with other attack, heal, regen, defense auras. He's got AP damage reduction, max HP overflow. But Paladin Cecil's auras only work if his HP is above 100%. I don't think a lot of people know that. So if he's getting blasted, then his usefulness falls off immediately. He's locked to Holy. Holy does get countered a fair share. And why not just use them both together? These two will stack auras like mad, and your damage will go crazy, provided you can satisfy the orb. Penelo versus Balthier. This is even more smooth-brained. Penelo is apparently only an Esna character once she gets her LD. Don't mind how she was hyped with her EX and rework for incredible regens, battery, auras, etc. Those are all irrelevant now. She's just an Esna character. She has no other value. Gain overflow, I Brave, M Brave auras, frame buffs. She's just an Esna character. They're basically the same character. Yes, they both Esna, but that's where the similarities stop. I hate it here. Well, maybe if Balthier steals a regen buff, you can compare it with Penelo. Why am I entertaining this? Kurasame versus Balthier, which is just smooth-brained HP damage up comparisons. Kurasame, if you didn't know, is the only HP damage up character in the game. Charlotta is currently rolling in her grave. Jesus. He's tied to ice, and he can do some speed down stacking. His damage is not super impressive, as I'm sure some of you have found out by now, and he becomes an enchanter down the line. However, his debuff can linger if he's swapped out for more HP damage up stacking. He's got a stolen overflow aura, which Balthier does not have, and he does melee damage. Balthier, meanwhile, has an unconditional HP damage up, also provides Brave damage up, and provided he's at max stacks on his overhead, he won't lose them. And swapping out Balthier is kind of an L, because you're losing all those auras. He has no element, he hits hard, and he's range damage. Really, guys? Really? All these comparisons, why not just use them on the same team? Paladin Cecil and Balthier is 70% Brave damage up for the party and 40% HP damage up. Holy DPS race. And Paladin Cecil can shut Balthier and make him hard. Kurasame plus Balthier is 50% theoretical HP damage up for damage races. Penelo Balthier covers battery, regen, healing, double Esna, stellar attack up. You're probably hitting cap on everything on that team. You're not locked to one support role per team. So if you only know how to use Lightning Kurasame or Lightning Gladio on the same team, I can see why this is hard for you to grasp, but you can bring multiple auras, guys. Not who even runs one aura anymore? Do people win teams with that? Not, I mean, rarely, unless it's a super DPS race. People saying he's got a Cosmos era kit. Lightning, Onion Knight, Paladin Cecil. Hello. Those are the only ones that come to mind, but they have Cosmos era kits, and the devs have proven time and time again that they can load an LD however they please, and Balthier is loaded. His skills got indirectly buffed by his overhead. He's likely going to hit cap on nearly every skill he does, because he's got the Brave and HP damage up, and the huge attack up. Dispel and Esna is very niche, that's not wrong, but those auras are powerful now. And he has an 100% AoE skill every 2 turns. Skill, HP plus, EX, rain down. Bam! And probably the worst take of all, he doesn't have LD boards on his release. I said this in a comment on my reaction the other day, but LD boards are only synonymous with an upgrade to the LD and access to the LD call. LD boards is not some like some sentence to be good. If you look at some of the upcoming LD boards, it's all over the place. Ram's LD board is just refund in the middle of his attack with more damage and overflow on the skill. Lightning just gets refund in between, and she's still good. Squall and Cloud, they get Brave and HP damage up and a bunch of other stuff. If what they already have is good, then the LD board is only really there to make it a call. LD boards are not it's not an equal tuning pass, guys. You need to be realistic. And again, these hot takes are insane. It's the same stuff with Vivi, man, because Vivi didn't get a huge boost with his LD boards, but he got reworked. His LD was already that good. So saying that Balthier needs an LD board, you're not seeing the full kit in context. LD board is not what you think it means, all right? Ugh. Anyways, I think I covered everything. This is running really long. I thought I'd be done with this in 10 minutes, but this is like 21 minutes now. Closing thoughts. He's above average. He'll be key in some very tricky lufenia, and he'll be usable in a lot of them. He will be very good down the line. I'm for sure pulling 1 to get views. Hashtag not a charity. And 2, because I like the character and it's fun to mix things up. He'll stay in completes for a while by virtue of his loaded LD and popularity, plus the new factor. You can bet on it. People always pull through. So if you see anyone with hot takes, shout out to the Struggle Tweets account, because they've been prospering lately. Just take a note, write their name down, and watch them flip it up when Balthier is crushing stuff. All right, don't ever listen to them. Anywho, I hope you guys enjoyed. You should have liked this video, subscribe to my channel, share this video around, and drop a comment about your thoughts on Balthier. I'll be reading everything again. So say what you gotta say. Just don't make it too spicy. Be careful with the hot takes. And I'll catch you guys later. Peace.